warns Buhari on zoning. Of course, APC Senator-elect warned Buhari on zoning and warning the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You find that on page 2. Now, this would actually come as good news for Nigerians. Nigerians' HIV and AIDS prevalence rate drops to 1.4%. What could be responsible for this drop? It's on page 2 this morning. If you pick up a copy of the Punch, you'll definitely find that one. And also on page 3, Ekiti electricity law prescribes 2-year jail term for vandals. Well, that might just be a good one this morning. As you're looking at the front page on page 12 this morning, police arrest 4 more suspects for Oyo Rep mother. You remember that just during the election, the Oyo State House of Rep member was actually killed quite this morning, that report. Osibanjo met Adamawa, Bauchi, and others over supplementary elections. And that's also another report you find this morning. Now you still find a picture of victims of the collapse, the 3-story building that collapsed in Lagos. You find victims of these kids in the hospital. That's a picture there. Lagos collapse building. I lost 1 child, another critically injured, says mother. It's also on page 4, 6, and 7 of the Punch newspaper. And this is about INEC. INEC promises to work with the National Assembly on electoral reforms. INEC promises to work with the National Assembly on electoral reforms is also another caption on the Punch newspaper this morning. INEC panel to submit report on Bauchi inconclusive poll today. It's also another caption on the Punch newspaper this morning. And just before we move away from the Punch, Benway rerun. PDP picks Mark or Tom, others as polling personnel. You also find that when you pick up a copy this morning of the Punch newspaper. And just quickly before we turn our attention to the online platform, let's also check out the Nation newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Nation newspaper, you find this very bold banner caption. Tribunal grants Buhari APC access to poll items. Tribunal grants Buhari APC access to poll items. That's a banner caption on the Nation this morning. Ruling party seeks CTC to prepare defense. That's a rider. You also have another one, 12 categories of material listed. Our agony by survivors of Lagos building collapse is also on page this morning. A very sad story. You could see the tractors. You could also see victims. You see a picture of that collapsed building on the front page of the Nation this morning. At Jimobito Makinde, beware of praise singers, is also on page 8 this morning. And courts puts off hearing in Offa robbery suspects trial. Courts puts off hearing in Offa robbery suspects trials on page 42 this morning. Obasanjo article meets in Abeokuta. It's also another report. England regrets losing Iwobi, Alex Iwobi. It's a very, I don't know if you would want to say that that's a sad one, but however, it's all good. And still on the front page, you have survey reporting that 1.9 million living with HIV/AIDS. Pick up a copy of the Punch and the Nation, I beg your pardon, the Nation newspaper this morning, and you definitely find all of the details. Now let's quickly check out the online platform just before we open up the phone lines this morning. The website is www.crossrivertimes.com.ng, and you have this one saying rerun polls are re-seat exams for the ruling party. Shehu Sani is quoted on that one. Rerun polls are re-seat exams for the ruling party. Shehu Sani is quoted. And you have also another report here. The report says the military and our elections. The military and our elections is also another one you find. 9 Senate leadership squabble in 8 Senate won't repeat itself. You have a Senate spokesperson said on that one. Quite interesting. 9 Senate leadership squabble in the 8 assembly or 8th Senate won't repeat itself. A Senate spokesperson is quoted also. INEC weighs 4 options. Still on the uh, online platform this morning, INEC weighs 4 options on Rivers polls today. And let's just quickly check out another caption this morning on the online platform. 3 drowned on election day in Delta. A very sad one. A whole lot happened during that election, during the election period, and a whole lot is still happening in terms of security and all of the challenges. Okay, you also have this one saying INEC presents certificate of return to senators elect, and of course, Governor of Imo State, Rochester Okorocha's name seemed to be absent. He didn't get it. But he's also come out to make some statement as regards that. Well, that's so much that we can do this morning on the newspaper review. We have checked out a few of the national dailies and also the online platform. Let's get your reactions to any of the headlines that would or that caught your attention while we went through the headlines this morning. All right, do not forget, there's a rule of engagement. You're expected to leave your thoughts within 1 minute. All right, and then you're also expected to move away from your radio set when you call. Be sure to leave your thoughts civil, no name calling, no hate speech, and this is not the time, for some kind of politicking on this platform. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, man.
Good morning, Efi. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, they keep calling for the farmer. Yes, I want to react on the reception of a meeting between the governor of Bauchi and Adamawa, Mr. President. That is a good one. These people, when they know that if they have caused one corruption or the other, they want to bring in Mr. President to spoil his name and whatever. We know that this President Buhari is a man of integrity. He's a credible person that Nigeria is. But a lot of other loyalists and supporters are cracking and doing a lot of things. Now, this election in Bauchi, if they have anything, anybody who has won that election will begin to be because they don't need them running and thinking Mr. President and and whatever. It's kind of, I commend Mr. President for that. My heart goes to the children that lost and the families that lost their children in the collapse building in Lagos. But one thing we should know is that we keep on doing the same mistake and the same mistake and the same mistake. Now that building has collapsed. We'll only stop this thing and this week and next week and the people will die off. What is the solution? What are the measures put in place so that we segment those things? Even here in Calabar and every other city in our country, and all the cities, our cities and whatever, they will take this thing serious so that we don't continue to lose our lives when we are. Thank you for having me there.
All right, thank you, Efi, for reacting to the headlines this morning. Keep the calls coming. 0809-230-0022, 0809-230-0025. That's the number to call this morning to be part of the newspaper review. Do not forget, we're also up and running on all other social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning to you. Please, can you be audible? We can barely hear you. Okay, Bennett Mandela, go ahead.
I want to comment on this, the tax president getting the certificate of the two governors and that of Obasanjo and Joko. I would say for the president, the good one really put in the nation, making up the application of Nigeria. Then for Obasanjo, the meeting of Obasanjo is a good one. Know that Obasanjo was advising to withdraw the case and let it because all of us know that the election was wrong. But for the sake of the case, she withdraw the case. And that was Kaduna. This is my personal and personal opinion. I'm asking the governor, she changed his stance and things will reign in that state. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mandela, for reacting this morning. But I think that, sometimes, how do we know exactly what the intentions are? Of course, you have someone saying, I'm coming to meet you, I'm going to meet the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We can start assuming exactly why they are meeting and what the intentions are. All right? 0809-230-0022, 0809-230-0025. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning. Thank you for joining us. All right, Etta, go ahead.
Yes, I think move on from Ireland. barring it from conducting election in Adamawa State. And I think that order from the High Court, Yola, is not a good one. And I saw on newspaper headline yesterday that the APC was already celebrating that order because they are afraid of losing that seat to the opposition. It's wrong. The election was conducted on the 9th, and if a political party, the logo was not in the Bible, and then went ahead to conduct that election. And after they declared the election inconclusive and picked a new the party went to court, suing INEC to not to carry out the presidential election. And the ruling party that they were celebrating that day. So to tell me they want the order to is political. They are trying to follow the will of the people in that state. I think INEC decision is the people. Even in Okorocha state, I think INEC also took a very good decision by denying it the certificate of return for now. And because if the people do not benefit from the proceeds of the crime, when you commit the crime, you do not benefit from it.
Okay.
That's my decision.
All right. Thank you so much for reacting this morning to the headlines. Now, to not forget, if you can get to us via the phone lines, just because of the traffic on the line or maybe the network, then be sure to leave us a comment via the SMS and WhatsApp platform 0809 230 0023. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Joseph, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, just how's your weekend going?
Fantastic. I had an amazing time.
I hope you have a splendid one. Well, quickly, I want to go to um, when Joaquin was talking was this, and Rochas was to call me. He was surprised that he went on Imo State. People honored the fact that we were going to do Joaquin what they call good Christian to bad rubbish. But from what we are seeing now, the people of Owerri, they are jubilating even till now on the removal of Rochas and his son-in-law. And it goes to tell you that nobody can play God in any aspect. God is still God, and you cannot just come to play God. The people of Owerri accepted Rochas for the misbehave. And so it goes down to all our political leaders, wherever you find yourself, treat the people well. Like that today, as he is, he knows it's already on his way out, because the people of Kano State has returned today. So there is no need for APC to play template of what they repeated, or a repeat template of what happened in Ondo State. And also other states where they are having a run. I think the ruling party should let the will of the people decide. Because if the will of the people had been decided in 2012 when Oshomole was to become governor, I don't think he would have become the governor. So now that they are in power, they should allow the will of the people to speak and not temper with whatsoever result that is the outcome that is in favor of the people. Thank you very much and God bless you.
All right, thank you, Joseph, for reacting. But just in time, you also have the report saying that Akwa Ibom Assembly passes 672 billion naira budget for 2019. Akwa Ibom Assembly passes her 672 billion naira budget for 2019. Keep the calls coming 0809 230 0022 0809 230 0025. That's the number to call this morning to be part of the newspaper review. Do not forget, you can also leave us messages via a WhatsApp platform. Messages also, SMS and WhatsApp to the number 0809 230 0023. I think we just take one more call just before we step on the brakes this morning, and maybe when we return, we continue with a few more calls. Now, we went through some of the national dailies. If you just tuned in, it is the Sparkling Morning Show, and it is the newspaper review. We went through a few of the national dailies this morning to check out the stories that made it to the headlines. All right, and then we also checked out an online platform. So let's get your reaction this morning. Just before I take this message. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Messi.
Yes, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. This is the newspaper review.
Yes, my name is and I am the spokesman for our Muslim Community University.
Your name is what?
Alhaji Usman Magajin Dauda.
Alhaji Usman. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your reaction.
I am the spokesman of the Muslim community in Cross River State.
That is fantastic. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review. Go ahead.
Actually, I'm very happy about the rejection of these two governors in the north. This shows that because Nigeria has beginning to understand that President Muhammad Buhari is a man of integrity. Irrespective of the propaganda going on in Nigeria, people understand now that the man has integrity. Secondly, the issue of this other people. So let me just look at that back and not get the right one now. But now I understand that. Okay, the ninth assembly. Look at it. This shows an independent mind to allow the eighth assembly to start through its bringing who is due for the job. For the try to bring personal interest to particular the eighth assembly. But thank God for President Abuja see that there is no way the 17th arm of government will not have, a good relationship with the legislative arm so that they can have their development towards the Nigerian police well.
Okay. Thank you.
So I follow that. I follow that.
All right. Thank you, Alhaji Usman, for joining us this morning on the newspaper review. All right. Okay, so we quickly just step on the brakes, but just before we do that this morning, this one says, my name is Moses and from Calabar, and on the presentation of certificates of return to members elect of the National Assembly, what happened to that message now? Why should INEC keep mute on the issue of Okorocha? I expected that INEC should have presented the certificate to the runner-up of the election. What then is your next line of action? Fingers are crossed. I'm sure everyone is asking the same questions. Let's just go, check out a few messages. When we return, we take a few more calls and we call it a wrap. It's the Funky Freaky Friday edition of the Sparkling Morning Show. Stay tuned. Good morning.